Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I will tell you how to make a calculator using basic front-end languages like HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So let's start. First I'll create a workspace folder where we can work. Let me name this folder as calculator. Now I'll open it in my text editor. I'm using Sublime Text. Uh, so first let's create an HTML file. Let me name it index.html. Also we'll create a CSS file to put our CSS code. Let me name this as style.css, and next file is our JavaScript, so let me name it as script.js. Okay, so these are our three basic files for the code. So let's start. Let me name this as calculator. Okay, and let's link the CSS file, which is style.css. Also let's link the JavaScript file, which is script.javascript. Okay, so yes, now we can start. So the very first thing is we'll create some divisions let's name it, let's give it an ID. ID is equal to parent, and after that div ID equal to container1. Okay, and next let me create another div. Let's name it class as header. So there are various ways in which you can design the layout of your calculator. So I'm doing it this way. So what we are doing is dividing our the calculator into two parts. One of the division is header and the next division is body. The header division will consist of the screen of the calculator, and the body section will consist of the buttons. So in the header section we'll write the code for the our screen. So inside the header, let's just create one division and let's give it an ID as display. Okay, so we don't have to write anything in the display, because whatever input we give to our calculator will be given by JavaScript, so we can leave this division as empty. Inside the body, we have to create divisions for our buttons of the calculator. So let me just create some divisions. So according to my design, I have various buttons. So I'll need 15 divisions, which will consist of buttons 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and okay, we have to give them some class. No, before that, let me just first erase all. So according to my layout, we'll need around 15 divisions to lay buttons, like this button, and let me give these buttons a class called buttons. Okay, and so let me just copy and paste it, and we have to give some individual ID as well, which I will give it just in a moment. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Alright, so let me now just write the buttons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, sqrt for calculating the square root from the calculator, and C. Next will be the decimal button. Okay, and next is 0, next is percent, and then equals. So let's give these an ID 1, 2, 3. We'll need this ID in our JavaScript file so that we can write code for the event which occurs when these particular buttons are clicked or pressed from the keyboard. So let's name this ID as sqrt. Okay, then clear decimal 0% and equals. Alright, so this is our HTML file, it's complete. So right now if you run the code, you will get something like this, which is of course we don't want the calculator like this. So now let's start to work on our CSS file. So as I said, there are many ways in which you can lay out your calculator and write CSS code. So I'm following this way. First I'm going to set the HTML margin as 0, then we'll start with the parent. Okay, so hash parent ID, let me just text align to center. Okay, so that our calculator is made in the center of the screen. Next is I think container 1. Okay, container 1, let's give height around 40 em, width around 37 em, margin as 2% auto, 2% auto, display inline block. Let's give the background color later. Next we can do is yeah, I think that's it for now. We can give some other properties like border and background color also, so we'll do it later. So the next thing is our header. Okay, so dot header, let's give it width as 100% of the parent element, that is container 1, and let's give it a height of 25%. After that the next thing is I guess display. Okay, so display, so instead of giving it width as 100%, we'll have to give a little bit less width so that the extra margins are accurate, and height is 90%. Okay, margin 1%. Okay, font size around 60 pixels, and so let's give the background color also. Where's the background color? Okay, background color is gray. Okay, and yeah, that'll be all. You can also give background color here. Background color as I have written down some codes which give a distinguishing effect to our calculator. Okay, yeah, so after the display we have our body part. So right now we have completed the our screen part. So let's try to reload and let's see what our screen looks like. So yeah, as you can see, we have created a display for the calculator, and the below the display is our body, which is not yet completed. We can just see the buttons. Now we'll design them. So let's start from the body part. So, dot body, width 100%, and height 75%, 75% of the container. Here you see guys, we have given the width of 25% to header and 75% to body. Both header and body are the child elements of this element container 1. So this way we are dividing our calculator in equal, not equal but sort of equal divisions. Okay, though, so next thing is let's set the display as flex and flex wrap as wrap, and justify content as space around to distribute the space equally. So the next thing is our button class. Let's work on the buttons now. So I think it's buttons, yeah, so buttons. Okay, so let's give them a height of 100 pixels, width of 100 pixels as well, and background color as hashtag, sorry, a 90 A4AE. Okay, font size 50, around 50 pixels, and margin 0.15 em, and em is a pretty big unit, so you have to use small values of it. Okay, then let's see how our calculator looks now. As you can see, the buttons are now placed. Okay, so we can what we can do is we can do some modifications in the equal button, like this, equals. So let me set its width as 200 pixels. So 200 pixels. So let's try to reload. So plus add, and subtract, so now let's do some beautification in our calculator. We'll start by maintaining the borders of our sections, and the next thing is border bottom left radius as 10 pixels, and border bottom right radius as 10 pixels. Okay, so I'm gonna copy all these properties and I'll put it in display. Okay, and Also, I'll use these three properties in the buttons part as well. So let's try to reload our calculator. So as you can see, instead of bottom we can set it as top to make it look more symmetric. By mistake I selected the bottom option. So okay, let's try to reload again. As you can see, pretty nice calculator. We have completed the CSS as well. Now all we are left with is to code with the JavaScript part. As you can see, you can also feel the clicky effect. And so let's start with our JavaScript file. So we'll start the JavaScript. If you are familiar with the JavaScript, you will be knowing some of the basic commands. Okay, so I'll start with this event listener, which is a part of JavaScript which records the user events. And let's start with the okay, we'll make the key press later. First let's make the click part. So document dot query selector as so when the user clicks on this button, so how will we know that this button is clicked? So as you see, we have set the ID of this button as 1. So in the query selector we can use #1. So we'll know that when the user has clicked this button, we have to use the #1 ID. Okay, so when this button is clicked with this particular ID, what will happen is I'm adding an event listener. Okay, so it will listen for the click. So when this button is clicked, so what would happen? Let's run a function. It will send the values, this value, into the display function. So right now we don't have a display function yet, so let's just create it. Okay, so the display function will handle the our screen. So let's create this function disp. It will accept one parameters, this cur. Okay, so okay, let's state like this way. And this thing we have done for the button 1, so we have to make the similar code for the other buttons as well. So like when the second button with ID 2 is clicked, that this query will send a value to this function. Similarly, we have to code for other buttons as well. So 3 okay, 4 5 6 7. So these lines of code are just recording the events of that particular buttons and sending this value which I am assigning to the display function. So right now the function is not running, and we haven't completed it, so we'll just complete it in a moment. And 0 0. Okay, so these are the numerical values which will be sent to the display function. Also we have added some mathematical operations. Let me check the ID which we have given to plus. This is add. So add, this will send a plus button, a plus string to the display function. Similarly, next is subtract. I have given the ID subtract here, as you see, subtract. Okay, so it will send a minus string. Next will be multiply, as I have given the ID multiply to the multiply button, and next divide. Okay, next will be our decimal. It will send a dot string. Okay, so next is our equals. This will send a equal. Okay, next is a percent. Let me just see. Yeah, we have given the ID as percent, so percent. Okay, cool. After that we have another ID as sqrt. It will send a string as sqrt only, and the last thing is clear. Yeah, to clear our screen we have made this line of code. It will send the query as clear. Okay, so right now we have implemented the click event. So now let's try to complete the display function, which will handle the screen part of the calculator. So before that, we have to create a variable var string. So let me do some conditional coding. If the string received in this parameter is equals, so what would happen is it will call another function calculate, and will send the string. So right now we don't have a calculate function, so let's create it as well. So function calculate string, it will accept one parameter as string, and inside this parameter document dot query selector hash display dot inner html is equals to eval. So you might be finding this thing new. What inner HTML part does is prints the content on the screen on that HTML element, and what eval does is it is a mathematical command which will evaluate the string based on the mathematical symbols present in the string. Okay, so let's continue with this. If the string received in cur is equal to equal, then it will send the string into this part, and else if cur equal sqrt, what would it do is document dot query selector hash display dot inner html equals to math dot sqrt string. It will calculate the square root of the string. Else if cur equal clear, then document dot query selector this hash display dot inner html equals to blank. If the user has pressed the C button, then it will clear the display. So the last thing is else part, the string value. So what will the string value? So it will be document dot query selector hash display dot inner html plus equal to cur. So we have used this plus cur. So basically what this is doing is appending the new string into the old string. It's not replacing the replacing the old string with the new string, but instead appending it. So like when you press 2 3, it will not erase 2 and print 3, but it will just add 3 next to 2. So yes, we have completed our basic JavaScript for the click part. So let's try to check it if it's working. So let me just press 1. As you can see, it's working fine. When I press 2, it is appending the 2 string alongside 1. So let's try the mathematical operations. 2 12 plus 3, is it calculating it? No, I think there's some error. So let's go back to our this part, calculate part. So guys, our JavaScript for the click part is complete. So let's try to check if it's working fine. As you can see, the numbers are getting displayed on the screen. Okay, so let's check the operators as well, plus, minus. Okay, the operators are also getting displayed. So let's try to do some calculations. As you can see, it's working fine. If I press the C button, it will clear the screen. So if I have to calculate the square root, I can just click the square root button and it will calculate the square root. So what we have implemented the click functionality. Now we can also make the keyboard key press functionality. So let's do that as well. Document dot add event listener key press function. Okay, if event dot key equal 1, then send this value in the display function. So like this, we have to do for other keys as well. So 2 2 3 3 4 4 5 5 6 6 7 7 8 8 8 9 9, and for 0 as well. So we have implemented the keys. Now it's time for doing the mathematical operations. So if the event dot key is plus, then send a plus string. Okay, so it's so simple if you just follow the logic procedure. Okay, so after plus and minus, we can do is multiply, and then divide, and then the decimal, and if equal is pressed, then equal, and if C is pressed, then send the clear string into the function, and if S is pressed, then send the sqrt in the function. So let's try to use our calculator from keyboard. Now I'm using the keyboard keys. As you can see, it is working fine. See, now I press C, it will clear the screen. Now let me just some random numbers, minus. As you can see, it's working fine. If I have to calculate some square root, I can just write any number and press S. I think we have made a mistake in the square root part, so let's sort it out. Yeah, I have mistyped the square root, so let's try again. Let me just type some random number and press S. As you can see, the square root has been calculated. So we have completed the calculator, we have completed the CSS part. You can beautify the calculator as your own wish, and we have implemented the JavaScript functionality of click and press. This is the click part, and this is the key press part, and these two functions are responsible for calculating the string. As you can see, the click buttons are working fine. So you can also find this code in my GitHub repository, and I will also host this application on my GitHub, and I'll provide the link in the description show notes. So thank you for watching.